got at the moment with the Care Act and the way it's being implemented from government is a complete and utter shambles. Would she agree with me that there is a need to put serious pressure on the Department of Health to get their act together on this particular issue?
If we could come to the question, Councillor.
So the question that's coming to, does she think at the moment, like we do, it's a complete and utter shambles way it's being implemented by government?
Thank you, Councillor Chataway. Councillor O'Rourke.
I'd like to know, the government departments have predicted that only 1 in 6 of our current self-payers who are receiving social care are likely to live long enough to take advantage of the £72,000 cap on social care. Does Warwickshire County Council agree with that prediction, and what will be the cost of that to Warwickshire County Council year on year?
Thank you. Councillor Compton.
Well, I don't think I can really add anything to the report that I have read to you. You may have your own opinions about whether the government have prevaricated over the information they've given to councils. My officers are working to the information that they have been given, and they will continue to do so. As regards to the £72,000 cap, you may very well be right, Councillor O'Rourke, but how long's a piece of string and what's a crystal ball? I really can't look into that. All I can assure members is that we will do the very best that we can to implicate both the Care Act and the Better Care Fund to the benefit of the residents of Warwickshire who rely on our services.
Thank you once again, Councillor Compton. Councillor Olner.
Can I ask Councillor Compton how long she has had that information? And why wasn't it circulated to members of this council before this meeting so that we could have asked questions on the rough estimates that are contained in it?
Thank you, Councillor Olner. Councillor Compton.
This information it's an evolving picture, and my officers are working at it. We are getting information through, possibly daily, and so we are hoping to get this together. Because remember, the Care Act is implemented by the 1st of April 15. The rest of it comes in April 16. So it is very much an evolving picture. But as I said, a members' seminar will be arranged in the new year, and I do hope we do have a good attendance for that. It is far too important to be swept under the carpet.
Thank you, Councillor Compton. That concludes that. The questions on that item. Question 8, bus fares. Councillor Kondaka to ask Councillor Chataway, Chair of the Communities Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Councillor Kondaka.
Thank you very much, Chair. In the last year, the price of fuel has now dropped 40%, and fuel prices are already down 15%. The Communities OSC took up the issue of bus fares following the Green Group's motion, but the action was limited so far to producing a letter to government. Given the fall in fuel prices, can the Communities OSC do more to put pressure on OSC over these excessive fares?
I think a one-word answer, I don't mean to be flippant in any way, shape or form, is no. I think what the Communities Overview and Scrutiny Committee have done, they produced a report, they sent it to Cabinet, and Cabinet acted on that report. I think now to take it further relies very much on Councillor Butlin or Councillor Seckham.
Thank you, Councillor Chataway. Do you wish to ask a supplementary, Councillor Kondaka?
I'll try. That was a very hard answer to ask a supplementary on, but I would like...
you don't have to.
I would like the OSC to actually look at inviting Stagecoach in to explain their high fares, particularly between Leamington and Bedworth and Leamington and Kenilworth, which are very short routes that are very expensive. So will you please look at asking the Stagecoach to come to a school meeting?
Thank you, Councillor Kondaka. Councillor Chataway?
Yeah, I think Keith makes a fair point about the cost of bus fares, but like I said, I think the ONS have only got limited powers, they're not a decision-making body. I think where it really lies is referring to my last answer. I'm not trying to be flippant on that point. Just say it back.
Thank you, Councillor Chataway. Councillor, yes. Councillor Johnson?
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Chataway, would you agree with me that our experience shows that the current system of bus regulation has completely failed
Item 6. Sorry. It is 9, I confirm. Yes, the skills show. Councillor Hicks has a question for Councillor Hayfield.
Thank you, Chair. Although the question stands as printed, I would point out particularly the final words in the question to Councillor Hayfield, in that when members of the committee were at NEC, we were particularly impressed with the buzz about the place, the vitality. There were thousands of young people there, hundreds of exhibitors. Young people had come from all over England. I think I saw a coach there from Wales. And in particular, it was just buzzing with all that youthful vigour. And we know some Warwickshire schools came, we're not so sure about others. And where there are issues of aspiration in some of our schools, this is on our doorstep. We should be taking advantage of it. And I would ask him if he would help to promote this.
Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Councillor Hayfield.
Enthusiastically, yes. We are very fortunate to have this sort of exhibition on our doorstep. And I think that those schools who did send parties there have been very grateful for that. It's all part of the wider question of how we promote positive destinations for our young people. And we will do what we can together on the county council to do that. It's difficult in the academy world because we can't go in and sort of say you should be doing this. But making young people aware that there are positive destinations to be celebrated outside the academic world is something that I think we all have a part to play in when we visit our schools as school governors or just visiting them because we happen to be within our patch. So yeah, I think it's really great. If there's anything more we can do to try and encourage more schools to attend similar events, we will do that. But we also need to be thinking about whether we can replicate some of these things at a smaller scale, at district level, at school level, anything that will encourage young people to think outside the box, and that if they're not destined to get Lord knows how many grade A stars to see or whatever it is, that there are other very worthwhile, very positive destinations that they could be looking at that will lead to a good career and a good future.
Thank you, Councillor Hayfield. Councillor Hicks, you wish to ask a supplementary? No, thank you. Anybody else supplementary? No? Oh, sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, just wanted to ask as well, and I'm glad to hear that Councillor Hayfield has talked about being on a smaller scale. I was one of 5 members from this authority that attended it, and what a breathtaking scene it was with so many young people looking at future careers. Could I ask Councillor Hayfield if we do his best as well to make sure that there's a coach later on or to try and ensure or encourage more of our own members to come? I don't think you'd be disappointed.
Councillor Fowler. Councillor Hayfield.
If there was a demand, although I'm sure Peter doesn't need a coach to get from Coleshill to the NEC, others might. I would be more concerned with trying to encourage facilities for schools to be able to get there, and that is something we might look at, given the resource envelope we're working in.
Thank you, Councillor Hayfield. Question 10 now, the Supporting People programme. Councillor Kondarka to ask the question of Councillor O'Rourke. Councillor Kondarka.
Thank you very much, Chair. The proposed cuts to the Supporting People's programme were debated at the Leeds Borough Council meeting on the 19th of November. The £4 million cut in the £8.6 million budget was strongly opposed by all the borough's Green and Labour councillors. Will the Adult and Social Care Overview and Scrutiny Committee quickly investigate how the County Council can reduce the impact of these cuts and what additional funding requirements can be included in the various groups' budgets for 2015-16 onwards?
Thank you. Councillor O'Rourke.
Adult Social Care Scrutiny and the Adult Social Care and Health Scrutiny Committee received a verbal update at last week's meeting with regard to the Supporting People's consultation. The consultation finished on the 28th of November. The officer reported that they had received 1,165 questionnaire responses and an additional additional 200 responses were sent by email, letter and video material from stakeholders and service users. The officers informed scrutiny that there would be an in-depth analysis of all of the responses, which would be undertaken by an external consultant, and the final report of the outcome of the analysis as its recommendations will be brought back to scrutiny to review. As Chair of Scrutiny, I have already requested additional information, including the amount of time needed to undertake the fair access to care assessments and who will be undertaking these assessments. And I've asked for an update on the equality impact assessment process and analysis of all relevant data. Any reports or recommendations scrutiny might make will of course be based on facts that are underpinned by evidence and robust processes. Finally, there are a total of 128 service level agreements, with 126 of those due for renewal in March 2015. I've given you this information as I think it's important that you understand the scale of the programme and realise that it isn't a job that can be done quickly. Finally, I would like to make it very clear that I'm acutely aware of the fears and concerns that many people have already expressed publicly with regard to the impact these cuts will have on some of the most vulnerable people in our local communities.
Thank you, Councillor O'Rourke. Councillor Kandaka.
Yeah, thank you very much. I totally share your concerns about the effect on the communities, and I do want to figure so that we can actually look. Can you tell us how you're going to prioritise the cuts there relative to turning the streetlights back on?
Excuse me, that is not my job. Scrutiny is a job where we sort of look at the impact of changes and we hold the executive accountable. I'm not responsible for the budgets and I didn't vote for that budget. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor O'Rourke. Councillor Chilvers to ask a supplementary.
These are abhorrent cuts that are going to have a massive impact on the most vulnerable. But I would just ask whether Councillor O'Rourke can join me in thanking and congratulating the officers responsible for consultation, because it's one of the best, if not the best, consultation processes, as shown by the number of responses that have come in to this.
Thank you, Councillor Chilvers. Councillor O'Rourke.
I'm more than happy to add my thanks to the officers.
Thank you, Councillor O'Rourke. We now go on to 11, question 11. Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Plan. Councillor Kandaka to ask a question of Councillor Second, Leader of the Council. Thank you very much. Councillor Second.
The issue of the borough plans, the district plans, whatever, they are a matter for the district, not for this organisation, for this authority. This authority works with all of the districts as closely as we can to help them in the information that they might need, and we do that part with all of our 5 districts and boroughs, but the role of the Nuneaton and borough plan is their own and they own it.
Thank you, Councillor Second. Councillor Kandaka, do you want to? Sir?
Okay, to me.
Okay. Have we any supplementaries from anybody else? Councillor Perry, thank you.
I picked him on this question because I'm amazed at every council meeting I've been to. Councillor Kandaka says we don't get any money, there's no investment in Nuneaton and Bedworth. Last month there was a capital injection of 3.2 million for the improvement of the Bermuda station. And I remember you voted against that. Now I'm told that's going to create 1,000 jobs in Nuneaton.
Councillor Perry, these are questions.
Yeah, but the question I'm going to ask, I've got to give you the facts, Chairman, please. And the question I'd like to ask, in view of that, you've been moaning there's no investment, there's no job creation, but why did you vote against the 3.2 million and support your own plan for 1.9 of your own devised plan? Because I'm fed up of you coming here every month thinking that we don't give Nuneaton and Bedworth any. The other members...
Yeah, I'll have to stop you there, Councillor Perry.
So the supplementary is, why did you vote against 3.2 million for the people of Nuneaton and Bedworth?
But it's... that should be to Councillor Second, the questions are directed at.
Councillor Kandaka put the question, and I'm asking the question now, why you didn't support that? Oh, Councillor Second, why didn't Councillor Kandaka support 3.2 million?
Mr. Spirit entering the house.
That's not my case, girl. I really can't answer. Why did you?
Implementation of the Care Act. Councillor Chataway to ask the question of Councillor Coburn, the Deputy Leader. Councillor Chataway.
Yeah, at the budget setting round in February of last year, when we was looking at the reserves and the amount of reserves available to the County Council, we were told, when I was looking at the adult and social services budget, I was told that there was at least £12 million in there for the Care Act. The portfolio has just said there's another £2.5 million there for the Care Act. What I'm just trying to get a figure on, or an accurate figure on, how much is in reserves now earmarked for implementation of the Care Act? Not anything else to do with adult services, but just implementation of the Care Act.
Thank you, Councillor Chataway. Councillor Coburn.
Well, the answer to your question is that £2.7 million has been put in over the last 18 months specifically for the financial risks associated with the Care Act. And the majority of this money came from underspends on projects that arose from the result of delays as we waited for greater clarity on the requirements and functions we would be taking on. I hope that's quite clear.
Thank you, Councillor Coburn. Councillor Chataway, do you have a supplementary? Thank you. Does anybody else have a supplementary? Right, thank you very much for that one then. So we go on to item 13 now, which is strategic commissioning. Councillor Alan Webb to ask a question specified of Councillor Coburn, the Deputy Leader. Councillor Webb.
Thank you, Chairman, from one Alan to another. Signal greetings on. During the course of this last year, a lot of money was put into our budgets to deal with the process of commissioning. I mean, a lot of money, hundreds of thousands to be fair. So, as a result of that, this is it, if you like, it's a check and balance in terms of the wisdom of our investments. And the question is fairly straightforward, so I've already used more than the 16 words that are in the question. Which is simply, how much has the council moved? Sorry, let me get the right question. Can the portfolio holder please detail what savings have been achieved through the commissioning of services?
Thank you, Councillor Webb. Councillor Coburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, every business unit went through a strategic commissioning review, and the output of these are fed into one organisational plan. We don't categorise the achievement of savings separately. The largest part of the £92 million we have to make over the next 4 years is from strategic commissioning process. I will, however, give you some examples because you've been asked specifically in it. So, for example, the strategic commissioning business unit in the People's Group contributes to the majority of the one organisational plan savings initiatives, which is specifically responsible for leading and delivering approximately £16 million of required savings over the next 4 years. To take just one project, which has recommissioned the integrated community equipment and support service on behalf of the County Council and the clinical commissioning groups during 2004, the projected savings on this single proposal for health and social care over 5 years is over £7 million. So I hope you agree with me that this is a very important plank of our savings plan.
Thank you, Councillor Coburn. Councillor Webb, do you have a supplementary?
Well, only this much as will the portfolio holder please assure this council that as those savings are being achieved in terms of our budget, that they're a bit nearer the mark than most of the budgeting that's been so far during the course of this last year.
Thank you. Councillor Coburn.
Yes.
We predicted that. Thank you. Supplementary, Councillor Chataway.
Chair, I'm still not quite clear on Councillor Coburn's answer because he seems suggesting that the majority of savings from strategic commissioning has gone a long way to stop us making £92 million more worth of savable goods. So can he give us perhaps a more accurate figure of the £92 million worth of
on mental health, Councillor Phillips to ask a question of Councillor Stevens, the portfolio holder for health. Thank you.
Thank you. There is a growing crisis in mental health provision. Services are being cut and sufferers are being left to fend for themselves on the street. A recent survey by Mind concluded that on average just 1.4% of local authorities' health budgets is being spent in this provision. Can the portfolio holder please detail what percentage of Warwickshire County Council's health budget is allocated to mental health? And how is this benchmarked to comparable authorities?
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the question. I think working with National Service, as I have done over the last 3 or 4 years, reminds me of how they rely on statistics, like a drunkard relies on a lamppost, more for support than illumination. And I think if you've ever got involved in the National Service, you'll realise that they're so target-oriented that everything comes in figures and statistics. But to answer the question, or to give her an answer, give the Council an answer, as you're aware, commissioning, of course, for mental health is very much done in conjunction with the Coventry-Warwickshire Partnership Trust. But in fact, the Coventry-Warwickshire Partnership Trust have a budget of the region of £207,648,000, of which 194 million are from local and health authorities. And we as a county council, indeed, give, including visits from adult health as well as public health, £35,937,331, and I don't know where this figure came from, plus 44p. So we do contribute very much to the mental health of the people of Warwickshire through the Coventry Partnership Trust. And that includes a certain amount from the public health budget of £878,040. Comes to a total of about 17% of the health and adult budget. So indeed we do contribute well towards mental health in the county. Do we benchmark? The answer is yes, we do. And all I can say is the figures that I've got here, spending on older people 65 plus, including older mentally ill, we spend £141.95 per person. The sharp average is 132.40. So we're better on that one. And over the page, spending on adults under 65 with learning disabilities, we spend £100.18 per person, as opposed to 96.08, which is the average. So in both those figures in benchmarking, we are performing very well looking after the mental health people from this county.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Phillips, you wish to ask a supplementary? No? Does anyone else? That concludes those items then. Thank you. We now go on to... Sorry, yes. Yes.
Chairman, is it not the case that a supplementary question should be not only supplementary but a question, or is there to be a de facto change in practice?
I did, halfway through the questions, I did say that I'd like them to be questions rather than statements. Yeah. Yes, there's been no change of policy. Well, perhaps I'm on some of the members, but the Constitution remains unchanged. We now go on to questions without notice to the Leader of Council and Cabinet portfolio holders, and here no supplementary questions are allowed. Yes, Councillor Parsons, sorry, gave me a list to the council meeting as well.
Quite right, Chair, I've been some time. Thank you. I have a question for Councillor Coburn. Having gained more information about the council and the something, it would seem true figure is probably somewhere between 3 to 5 million. This is not an insignificant figure, particularly when we consider that 3 million is what we've taken out of short staff children's centres and 1.78 million is is the figure we've taken out to support the handicapped children and their carers. Firstly, can we as councillors receive regular and accurate information on underspendings so that we can answer the many questions we get on this matter from the people we represent? Secondly, I note from the peer review report that this money is currently being used to strengthen reserves, and indeed I'm given to understand that some 9.5 million is now going into reserves. At a time when we are faced with such stringent cuts from central government, are we doing the people of Warwickshire a service by seemingly being in a position to make further savings, rather than taking every possible opportunity to invest in the best possible services for the people of our county?
Thank you, Councillor Parsons. Deputy Leader to reply.
Well, in answer to your first question, there are quarterly reports coming to overview scrutiny and to Cabinet stating the financial position. It's very time consuming, many hundreds of hours going work to collate that information. I think it's perhaps unreasonable on a sort of regular basis to keep coming out with interim figures. As far as the underspends are concerned, we are on a journey we're reducing our revenue budget by over a third over 8 years, and we in this sort of time of great change in this council, we need resilience against lots of different things which keep coming out of the woodwork all the time. There was that court case the other day, for example, about the deprivation of liberty. All of a sudden we've got £150,000 extra to fine. So these things, cold winter or whatever, all these different issues mean we have to have resilience, and the amount of reserves is what our finance officers tell me that he feels we need. So that's the reason why we are where we are. But I could give you a more detailed answer if you would give me a bit more.
Thank you, Councillor Coburn. Councillor Whitehouse.
Thank you, Chair. I've got two separate questions for Councillor Butler. They're on different subjects, so can I take them one at a time? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. The first one, which I was able to give him some very limited advance notice of, like an email this morning. We're now over 5 weeks into the implementation of the parking changes, the on-the-hand street parking changes, which, for various reasons, the County Council has taken on a very low-key basis. And in the absence of that, it's created a vacuum where, particularly in Warwick District, there's been very heavy briefing against what the County Council has done, I regret to say, by a number of district councillors and in public meetings. And last night at the Kenilworth Community Forum, I had to listen to a whole succession of them telling the public that effectively it's been a disaster. And they were backed up by the local policeman saying, yes, well, I haven't seen them either. Now, in information provided to both of us this morning, our officers are telling us, actually giving us facts to say that the level of activity is not reduced in the first month. So can I please ask the portfolio holder, can we get a clear statement of fact as to what has happened in the implementation of the new policy, district by district, borough by borough? Can that please be published to all members? Can it be publicised to the local forums, be they community forums, town and parish councils and so on, so that we stop the spectacle of two councils, which in this case, by the way, are both Conservative-led, appearing to be falling out in public?
Thank you, Councillor Whitehouse. Councillor Butlin.
Thank you, Councillor Whitehouse. It's an interesting question in many respects, but I saw sight of this morning as I arrived in council at 10 o'clock this morning. The one thing when we kind of implemented this commissioning of the CPE was we had a different response from all the districts that were kind of previously had responsibility for this task. And it varied from basically kind of, oh well, we'll do it, to basically kind of a downright obfuscation. And Warwick District Council was not very cooperative in terms of the implementation of
That's
those
unfair,
measures.
Chairman. I'll stand up and correct that.
All right then.
Unfair.
All right. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example where Warwick District Council was on this one. Warwick District Council refused to give all the information on those that were going to be took over until the contract started. They would not even give information on uniform services before this was implemented. So there was a gap in between where we had a smooth transition on the other kind of areas. It did not occur with Warwick District Council. Secondly, in terms of where this, I've had a report here from, in terms of the amount of NSLs that, hang on a second, PCNs. In September, there was 24 PCNs issued in this area. In October, when Warwick District Council was still in control, 6 PCNs were issued. In November, when we took over, 27 PSNs were issued. Now, I'm not saying that we've got everything right. We're not. This is a new contract. And we've now got into a situation where the new contract with LSE is kind of going quite well. And other areas of the county are quite happy with the service that being provided. And the need and Bedworth to kind of confirm that one over there. The problem lies with the fact that the transition in the Warwick District area was not as smooth as it could have been. But I am sure from now on, once it kind of smooths itself out, it will be there. So, but I will issue any statements and measurements in terms of enforcement for the Warwick District and the rest of the county, for those who want it, in terms of enforcement across the county, and report back to you with those who want it.
Thank you, Councillor Buckley. Councillor Whitehouse, your second question.
Can I do a supplementary on my first one? Oh no, sorry. It's been a long day. Okay. My second question relates to the answer you gave earlier to one of the pre-prepared questions, Councillor Butler, because it's about timescales involved in one element of the work on safer schools, which is the introduction of 20-mile-an-hour advisory zones outside schools, where the officers tell us they've got a list. They've got a list of sites, a list of schools that potentially might qualify for this treatment. Now, it's also becoming clear that the costs to implement these are potentially significantly higher than was previously quoted. It's amazing how costs always go in one direction. But the question at this stage is, who controls the list? When's the list opened? When's the list stopped? Who's going to prioritise it? And what will be the role of members in prioritising what is going to be a very, very tightly rationed budget, clearly?
Thank you, Councillor Whitehouse. Councillor Buckley to reply.
Councillor Whitehouse, you are well aware of it was just voted through Cabinet in terms of the criteria by which we implement the Safer Routes to School project. And it's now on the road, and we're kind of keen to kind of identify where we need to use 20-mile-an-hour speed limits. It's not a procurable 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, and I think you kind of come to that conclusion yourself when we did the working party on it. There's lots of other ways of spending that £2.5 million and making those safer routes to school. But as far as I know, in terms of the person who's been charged with kind of overseeing this one, as you already know, is Joe Edwards. And in terms of all the other information and the support to you, I can get back to you on that one in terms of where the information and implementation comes from. It's a cold question, and I've answered it as best as I can. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Buckley. Councillor Condarco, sorry for mispronouncing. Councillor Condarco.
That's okay, that's to almost anything. This question is actually for the leader. I clearly don't want her to tell me things that she doesn't want to tell me about the meeting with Coventry City Council leaders. But there was a meeting, I believe, on Friday with the leader of Warwickshire Country and the district about forming a authority or some enhanced working or some economic prosperity board, which will obviously have an impact on the area. So can we at least know where this is going and when it comes back to members, please?
Thank you. You're not unsurprised that I've got a question on this. It wasn't last Friday. There is a meeting of the leaders, which is called the Economic Prosperity Board, on Friday of this week. And we meet on a regular basis every 2 months. This is an additional meeting, that's true, to discuss what is being proposed and what the thinking of Coventry is on this matter. Absolutely no, this is a long-term issue. It isn't going to take any time soon. Issues around Manchester took 3 years, and I think that to think that there's going to be a quick and instant decision over any of this would be wrong. And I think we all have to understand what is being discussed, what is being offered, how it impacts on us. And I think the main thing for me is that Warwickshire and Country, as a rep, have been highly successful over the last months. We want to continue that relationship. We want to continue to invest well in our businesses and the inward investment that we've had. As far as I'm concerned, it's business as usual, and we concentrate on the goal, which is inward investment and growing our businesses.
Thank you, Councillor. Second. Councillor Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to concur with Councillor Whitehouse and also Councillor Shilton. Before I come to the question, I'd like to agree that the changeover from council parking services, whether it be in Stratford or Warwick, to this private company of NSL, from start to finish, Mr. Chairman, has been abysmal. The residents, either be in Warwick or in Stratford, do not know what time of day it is. May I ask, after various communications with parking services regarding my concerns, that this issue now is taken up by a portfolio? It's a question, Mr. Portfolio. Hopefully, will you look into this matter, please?
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. Councillor Buckley.
Yes.
Any other questions? Right, that concludes.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Councillor Shilton. Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman.
My
question is to Councillor Buckley, because it seems to be the book is being passed. Could I ask that Councillor Buckley give us assurance, give us the contact names of the responsible officers at County Council, the responsible officers for NSL, and an address that this council and these councillors can contact, and the relevant phone number which will be answered with queries when parking offences have taken place or on parking permits. This is not being done. It's putting a tremendous amount of pressure on our one-stop shop people within the Warwick district, particularly, and I hear now Stratford as well. So I'd like those contact names to be given to all councillors and all council departments about our Warwickshire. We just managed to get one actually this week, and that's half the time you can't get something. So it's abysmal. I did ask the question at the time when it was being implemented, are you ready? You said yes. It's obviously they're not, and they will be.
Thank you, Councillor Shilton. Councillor Buckley.
Yes, there's a word. As I understand, like I say, the problem lies with Warwick District Council and yourselves is that they won't communicate. If you can't talk to someone who doesn't communicate, how can you get those access things across?
Thank you, Councillor Buckley. Councillor O'Rourke.
It's a question to the Leader of Council with regards to a amendment that's come from the Greens in following this meeting with regard to the members' vote. Can the Leader of the Council please tell me if this council has a collective bargaining agreement, otherwise known as a joint negotiating committee negotiate with the trade unions to decide what benefits and sort of pay will be awarded to their staff, their terms and conditions. And would the leader of council also advise whether it would be illegal for this council to actually take deductions from members of staff without first agreeing it at the Joint Consultative Committee?
Thank you, Councillor Law. Thank you very much. Councillor Second.
The answer is it's actually to Cam, a question to her as portfolio holder for HR. Yes, we do, and we will discuss the other item in confidential later.
Thank you. I see no other hands raised, so that concludes the questions without notice. Any other urgent items? I haven't been advised of any over the page for it, may not be for you. Reports containing confidential or exempt information. I move that members of the public be excluded from the meeting for the items mentioned below.